Hey there, roomies. Today we're going to be taking a look at ancient Greece, specifically ancient Grecian schools of thought. As far back as the 7th century BCE, up until the dawning of the Roman Empire in the 1st century, 5 great philosophical traditions began. What made these schools of thought unique was that they focused more on reason or trying to figure out how things worked, rather than just using their senses and feelings. Many of the people involved in starting these philosophies or ways of thinking you may have heard of: Plato, Socrates, Pythagoras, and some of these philosophies are even named after them. After a brief explanation of each philosophical school, I will pose a philosophical question that relates to that school of thought. Feel free to pause the video and think about it. Or, if you're with a friend, have a friendly discussion. That's what philosophy is all about, after all, sharing our thoughts and ideas with others. Platonism. Plato, who lived from 427 to 347 BCE, is one of the central figures of ancient philosophy. Plato believed that in order to live the best life possible, it was important to recognize and work for what he called forms. Things like justice, beauty, and equality. Things that you can't smell, touch, taste, see, or hear, but that exist in the mind alone. In working towards these forms, Plato felt that the greatest good could be achieved, not for a single person, but for everyone. Can you think of something that you could do that might not help you directly, but would help your community and therefore make the world a better place for everyone? Aristotelianism. Aristotle was a student of Plato and a very important philosopher. His goal was to create a way of thinking that would allow someone to learn everything there was to know about life and reality. He began by using a process of describing objects based on how they appeared, what they did, and what could happen to them. The next step was to use logic to come to conclusions about those objects. For example, if all birds lay eggs, and a swan is a bird, swans lay eggs. This is called a syllogism, where you take 2 small facts and use them to come to a bigger conclusion. Can you come up with a syllogism of your own? Stoicism. Started by Zeno of Citium around 300 BCE, Stoic philosophy is based on the idea that we cannot control what happens in the world around us. We can only control how we react to it. A practitioner of Stoic philosophy wouldn't think of anything that happened to them as good or bad, but rather just a thing that has happened that presents them with an opportunity to better themselves or to practice one of their virtues. For example, if you talk to someone and they are rude to you and uncooperative, they aren't making your life harder, rather, they are giving you an opportunity to practice the art of patience or understanding. Can you think of something in your life that at first you thought was going to be bad, but later realized it gave you a chance to grow and improve yourself? Epicureanism. Epicurus was the founder of this oftentimes misunderstood school of thought. He thought that the life worth being lived is spent seeking pleasure. The real question is, though, what kind of pleasure? Many misinterpret this as stuffing yourself with food and drink, or being mean to other people for no other reason than you think it's fun. But really, Epicurus wanted people to focus their efforts on the things in life that raise our spirits, such as music, reading, and art. What do you like to do that raises your spirits the most? Skepticism. Started by Pyrrho of Elis, or at least he was the first one we know of, skepticism, in its most basic form, can be reduced down to a single idea: question everything. The goal of skepticism is to keep each person's life in a constant state of inquiry, or a state of asking questions. The idea being that to find answers, we must ask questions. Even when there are already answers, there might be better or more complete answers out there. In its most extreme form, academic skepticism, everything should be doubted, including the idea that everything should be doubted. Is there anything in your life that you have taken to be true without asking why? And if so, why? Well, hopefully this will give you enough to think about until next time. All the sources I used are in the description. If you liked the video, check back for more soon. Until then, don't forget to learn something.